G'day YouTubers, and thank you for tuning in to the day's toy review. But this time I haven't got my trains running this time because it's getting late. So in this video, and to my wonderful genuine audience who comes along and watches my... Oh, pardon me, I've just burped. So, in this very weird... Well, I wouldn't say it's a toy review. It's more of a merchandise video on YouTube. Because we're taking a look at two books. And I actually paid... Well, I actually got them out from the local Acorns charity shop in Acocks Green. It was actually quite a long trip so far, because I took a long crisscross of different charity shops as I walked around across Acocks Green after visiting the All Family Fun place. I think it was at the All Saints Centre, I think it was called. It was pretty much satisfactory. Well, I think the only gripe was that there was just too much children, which really didn't seem to fit the context within me. But anyways, I'm going to be taking a look at these two books that I purchased from the Acorns charity shop. I think I actually got them from Acocks Green, which is actually not that far away from where I live. It's actually on the northeastern part of the West Midlands, of course. Oh, sure, it's just the word east, but who cares. I've got two books. I've actually got a Thomas and Friends Thomas Steady Friend book here. We've got Thomas and Edward. And as I'm making this video, it is the 8th anniversary of the Thomas and Friends franchise. Go ahead and watch that Down the Mine pilot episode. Really important episode. In fact, of course, yes, I might as well just straightforward have a look at this book here first. Although we've got Thomas and Edward here, very importantly, we've got Thomas because he's like the main flagship character for the entire franchise, and then we've got Edward, who's of course the main important character in the whole Railway series, and there's another character called Gordon, who in a sense is much more, straightforward, as I can really describe him. He's a bit pompous, but then he's also quite, wise and well respected despite his size, and that's one thing I can really remember in the whole Down the Mine pilot episode, which was a 1983 sort of leak, I guess. Who knows? We've got all sorts of stuff here. So everything in this Thomas and Friends sort of merchandise. I haven't really been collecting a lot of Thomas and Friends merchandise. On my earlier old days on YouTube, I used to do a bit of Thomas and Friends related stuff, and I used to do like a weird Pokemon. What do you call it? Hybrid. I think it was an Ash Ketchum Pokemon Thomas and Friends reference, and I called it Tom Ash. It was just my very weird autistic mind going from it, of course. So basically the image is from season 12 and it costs about 20 pence. I actually got this out from the local Acocks Green Acorn charity shop that I got. And on the back, apparently we've got a model series Thomas, who apparently is part of it, and look where it's printed. In China! Not really surprised, but hey, this book here is first published in 2013. So it would have been the year when the CGI Thomas and Friends series was still around. Also, Curse All Engines Go. I can't stand the new look of Thomas the Tank. It really sucks so badly. I mean, if you look at the old classic stuff like this, and mind you, it's owned by Hit Entertainment, which nowadays is now transformed into Mattel. Of course, curse Mattel for actually debranding the Thomas and Friends franchise. That really has turned the whole legendary series into a complete abomination these days. Anyways, we've got also a nice picture of Thomas the Tank Engine, of course. Of course, Britt Allcroft. I could have just pronounced the name really better. As far as I'm... Oh, man, why am I talking so roughly these days? So, Britt Allcroft, well, we all sadly missed you. She sadly died around Christmas of 2024, is what I can really remember, as sad as it sounds. And there you go. Bit of a blurb on the back here. Of course, it talks about what Edward is really useful for. But we've got Thomas on the front here. Strange enough, it is based on season 12. It's basically a series crisscrossing between a transition between the model series and the CGI series, which a lot of people hated at that time. And I think people really hated the, I'll probably say, well, I wouldn't say hate, but they didn't really like the transition between... I think it was around season 8. It's when the series became a little bit, well, let's just say bad. Okay, so what we saw was a lot of different stuff. Okay, so what I'm talking about is Gordon. Most importantly, that is the character that we've actually seen him in the model series of Thomas and Friends. If you really have watched oh my goodness, man, I can't really talk properly. If you have really watched the Down the Mine Parlor episode, there's a lot much more info into it. So we all know that Thomas is a relatively cheeky engine. He pulls on the Ian Bell, and then he straightforward mocks Gordon for the fact that he has caused a little bit of an accident. Basically, if you remember that TV show. Oh, man, why am I getting it totally wrong again? And if you remember that one specific TV show episode, Off the Rails, I think that's what Gordon's dilemma was literally all about. He pretty much fell into a ditch. So Thomas basically teased Gordon for that little weird mishap. And then all of a sudden, Thomas straightforward went into some sort of weird, accident at the mine. He then straightforward falls into the mine because of his complete carelessness and disobedience for the fact he was just being so cheeky, becoming a little bit of a little brat towards Gordon, who apparently has helped him because, hey, clearly he teased him back because, hey, it seems like Thomas was the one who teased Gordon the first glance. He was the real instigator. And in fact, Thomas is still a complete instigator, despite being the main character. And what's even more interesting is that if you look at the title logo, Thomas and Friends, what's very amazing is just because it's called Thomas and Friends doesn't exactly mean you've got friends all the time. There's also enemies. Who needs friends whenever you've got enemies? Of course, yes, it's Thomas and Frenemies. So, of course, it is very merry-go-round children's book, basically based on the season 12 Thomas and Friends book here as well. If I flip through the pages, you can actually see it's very well elaborately painted and also detailed. And of course, yes, it's got a very childish mindset because it is aimed at a very young audience. Of course, we now Gen Z people are straightforward. We grew up with this stuff, okay? There was none of this complete BS with all engines go, no skibbity toilet, nothing else, okay? So everything is all legitimate evidence, as you can see here, okay? Oh, look, there's Oliver. How the heck am I naming all of these characters here? Of course, you've got Thomas and Edward right here. Fairly amazing. You've got a lot of, big, bold writing right there, and there's a very impressive silhouette of Thomas pulling Annie and Clarabelle. And then, of course, you've got Thomas, you've got Edward, you've got Henry, Gordon, James, Percy, Toby, and then you've also got Emily. Of course, it's a very nice cover right over here. Whoever needs Emily right here, I think the person or the engine that should be there would be Duck. And then you can also have the Scottish twins and Oliver, but really, the show doesn't give a complete... Actually, by the looks of it, let's reflect it in a very positive way about this series. Who knows, I can give you a complete amount of silence here. I love how the background, this is all based on the model series, except for those stupid CGI faces. I mean, the model series just has its own eye candy. Look at the sky here. It's just a very phenomenal aesthetic. So are those sheds, and also that turntable, and also these rails. Don't you see and feel a bit of sentimentalism in that book? I tell you what, I feel like I am. And then the next book I've got is this very interesting book, and that actually caught my eye because I do know that there were some other books. There was a how to cook fish book, I think, and this is a very impressive biodiversity Pakistan sort of book that I got from a charity shop in Acocks Green. Same thing, of course. And what's actually amazing is that it's printed in... What's this? Printed by Sad Printer Pack. Is this a British printed book? I just hope it's not printed in China. Because honestly, a lot of books... whenever I think about this book here, it's all hard. It's more like a sort of a cardboard sort of thing here. I don't know what type of cardboard this is. Maybe the audience can tell me about it. But looking at this very impressive Animal Biodiversity Pakistan book. Geez, I wish they could build nuclear bombs. Hope not. That was just my evil side. Right? Okay, so I'm just going to have a look at this book. It looks actually quite grainy and that kind of stuff. Okay, so here's what we have. That's about the person who has actually created about this book. And amazingly, it's got a lot of realistic details. I actually have, one of the book I actually had, it was a Birds of South Africa. I think it was Southern Africa, which was a book. I think it had pictures of birds in it and also just maps and stuff. And then, oh my goodness me, this is actually somehow fairly nice. As you can see, we've got the dedication there. There's also like a huge array of like, you know, how would you call it, contents inside the book. And it's actually quite a relatively good sort of book here. Everything you see is all nicely, elaborately read. It's actually very much well suited to a very young sort of adult audience. Because who knows, maybe their eyes are a bit more of an eagle than what kids are like. They just see whatever they can't see, if that makes any sort of sense. Okay, so the book itself, it's very elaborately painted. I'm pretty sure it might be printed outside. I wouldn't say China, but I'd probably say in the UK, because I'm pretty sure old books. And when was this book published in? 1998, so that's actually fairly recent. So I'm probably guessing it would have been a time when, you know, things were pretty much made in China. And then you also had things which were made outside of China, and that was a bit of a thing, you know. Okay, as I'm flicking through. Okay, nice, isn't it? In all sorts of, I don't know, lots of impressive bits I can really think about this book. Lovely signature, of course, as I'm flicking through about this book. And amazingly, you've got a lot of stuff right here, and there you go. Talks about the various information. I'm not going to sound like I'm a complete smart aleck. Well, I'm not going to be one of them because, hey, it seems like I know nothing. Just kidding, I do. Anyways, you've got this map of Pakistan, and right over here is the index of whatever habitats are in that country. Fairly impressive sort of thing, isn't it? Very impressive. And, of course, yes, I'm just going to go ahead and somehow show you. And what's very amazing is that you tend to see a lot of amazing things. Like, you tend to look at what animals live there, and also amazing drawings of the animals that are seen in Pakistan. So I'm pretty sure these are the animals, or the drawings that are based on the real animals that you can actually see in Pakistan. And then you've also got some old grainy like photos here, like this monkey right here. That's very classy and very, you know, retro-ish. It makes me think of something out from the 70s or I think the 80s. But it's more 90s, because it says 1998 on the book. And what is that? That's actually kind of more like a drawing. Maybe it could be some sort of drawing. Yellow-throated marten. Is that like some sort of weasel type thing? It does have a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of abstractness, if that makes any sense. Maybe the drawings don't look sort of realistic. And I mean, that's actually a time, you know, it's quite relatively hard somehow. Oh, look, is that the bird from the film Up? Kevin the Bird? We've got a lot of amazing things. Is that? I don't think palm civets look like that, them things. Anyways, I'm just going to straightforward show you on how elaborate this is. And when you read all of this is very good. Considering in how I handle this, it's something, because, you know, you just don't see it, compare it to like, or you just don't seem to get them as much as what you would tend to buy, you know, straightforward modern incarnations of what books are like. Okay, so amazingly, there's all of this information here. You can definitely pause the video if you want to read some of that, but I'm not going to, because there you go. There's actually quite a lot of amazing sort of stuff here. It's quite amazing. It actually makes me, that's pretty amazing when I see them bird pictures. It actually sort of makes me think at that time when I was actually at, I'm actually still at Pink College, although I am straightforward about to leave this year. Worst part is that I've actually got exams. I might probably talk about the exams in another video, because I'm sure it's going to cause a lot of delay on my YouTube channel, confusion and delay, because I do know that I have to get into the exams. But the problem is that I've actually got both the mock exams and I've also got actual exams coming up, and that's going to cause a lot of chaos on my YouTube channel, because I do know that it's going to stop, or even in this case, prevent me from actually making videos on YouTube in a very enthusiastic way. I'll probably say around Wednesday, possibly Monday as well, because I don't know how they actually work. But anyways, I'm just flicking through all the pages that you see in this pretty nitty-gritty bitty sort of book here. It's actually quite impressive, considering what you get is like real photos, and then you've also got illustrations of whatever animal or bird or critter they have, and you can also include reptiles as well. It's a fairly amazing and elaborately detailed sort of book in a sense, because for what I can work out, this actually does look very nice. And the way I read this book, I have to say, it's a very, very impressive, it's a very, like, you know, as I can really feel, it's a very impressive and very straightforward to the point sort of book. It actually feels nice, and it actually, look, they've actually got pictures of birds, be it male, female, juvenile, and then you've also got a picture of a bird in flight. It sort of relates back to that South African birds book. I think I might have left it in Pink College. I might have, because that was actually a book that I actually originally had. But now, because I've got this book within me, it somehow has straightforward changed, and, you know, it sort of chopped a bit of a plot, which is somehow a bit strange, considering that, hey, you know, looking at this book, it doesn't feel too bad in a sense. It actually feels somehow quite nice. And amazingly, what really indicates of what I'm reading at this book about is, you know, the more I read about this book, and what really relates about the animals. Oh, look, there's a pelican right there. That is actually quite rare. Is that like a PNG sort of picture? Maybe the ones can tell me, because I really don't know. I really don't know how computer files actually work, and that is actually something I really seem to be a very poor smart aleck about. You know, how pictures are like, I don't know, I'm just straightforward saying things, but yeah, I'm just straightforward, you know, going through different pages, and then you've got all sorts of different things right here. It's a fairly amazing book if you really want to get into, like, birds and other whatnot. There you go, there's more real photos, and there's also illustrations and other whatnot, but hey, that's just how it is. It's one of these things. It is a fantastic and very well, it's a very clean sort of book in a sense. It's actually fairly nice, and considering of just how it's a beautiful looking sort of book in a sense, it's often very well made, and considering and just how, you know, man, I mean, half the time I'll just say to myself, hey, that's a bit strange, because, you know, getting books like that, oh wow, is that a sand lizard? I think we get those in our country, but they're quite rare here. Well, I tell you what really is amazing about this book is that the way we seem to handle, and I mean, it's not just birds, there's also fish as well. It's a fairly nice looking, natural sort of, it's a very impressive looking book in its ways, that, you know, considering the way I seem to look at books like this, it really has got me straightforward intrigued, and I'm sort of thinking, you know, that's the sort of stuff, and it's like where it's at. You know, it's amazing. It's all about quality on where it's at. That's what I was about to say. But it is somehow quite a nice book, because obviously the pages, I mean, they do look very retro-ish, and I do apologise for the tablet taking over this video, because you can see there's a shadow, and I'm actually holding it because I need to straightforward, like, you know, handle and actually flick through the pages, and considering as I just want to have a very good clear view and make it very plausible of what I'm doing here. Okay, so very elaborate artwork right here, very much, oh wow, that's very interesting, seeing a bit of habitat drawings and other whatnot. That's actually somehow relatively amazing and impressive indeed. And that's the sort of stuff I really want to straightforward look at, and that's actually something I really am more into. It's a fairly impressive book. I'll tell you what, my legs are straightforward aching because I'm just straightforward sitting like mad. But there you go. There's actually quite a lot of amazing drawings right here. Oh look, is that a goldfinch? That is a goldfinch. How did I not notice that? That is actually fairly impressive. Is that a green woodpecker? I don't know. Maybe the audience can tell me about it. Who knows? There's also... Oh, just kidding. It's actually called the scaly belly woodpecker. How stupid was I? Who knows? Maybe if I was sounding like a complete smart aleck, I lied to you. But yes, this is a very nice looking book. It is very nice and good in quality, and considering that the paper that I'm feeling here, the paper in it is actually very, very nice. Oh, that's a wood pigeon. That's a nice bird. And then you've also got a stock dove, or a stock pigeon, as it's called right there. I don't know why. But it is a fantastic... Oh, look, there's an Indian minor bird. Oh, Australia really loves or hates those common minor birds. I've seen them a lot in Malaysia. Tell you what, it's actually quite a fairly fascinating bird. I really want to see the... Is it a flyback? Woodpecker. Oh, wild pig. Oh, very impressive. It's actually quite a very impressive looking book, considering that it's... Oh, wow, I think I've seen this. Which one of these is the rose-winged parakeet? Definitely this one right here. Which one of these is a rose-winged parakeet? Might be this one here, 167. I'm pretty sure it's 167. That one there, not that one there. I'm totally confused which one is which. Maybe these ones are a bit bigger than those ones there. But we do see these in captivity. Don't you worry. Anyways, there's actually quite a lot of like different drawings of birds, reptiles, mammals, fish, insects, spiders. Everything is all like what you just see in the naturalist books. Is that a... Oh, okay. I thought I was going to say a red kite. There's a grey heron right here. I thought it was a red kite, but it's actually a marsh harrier. God damn it. How dumb I am. How just straightforward dumb I am. Why can't I talk properly? Blimey hell. Well, we've got a bar-headed goose, a shelduck. What's that bird here? Pied kingfisher. A herringull. A great white egret. Oh, great crested grebe. But which one of these? Number 3. Okay. By the looks of these books... Oh, we just got a car driving by here. It's relatively warm outside. Inside here. Outside's a bit cooler. I tell you, it's very muggy. So that's why I've actually decided to like open the window a bit, because it's very muggy. It's also quite steamy as well, because we had a lot of like cloud that's like blanketing the whole sky here, and it makes it very hard for me to actually go back to sleep. But it is a very nice looking book in its ways, and I'm doing fairly well. Okay, so because I'm actually straightforward very active at night sometimes when I feel like I don't want to. And there's just so many pages, and I mean, despite of just how small the writing is, it's actually quite... Another vehicle has passed by. It's a fantastic looking book. It really has got all of the essence of what you would find in a naturalist book, or even on a bird watching book. Like, you know, some of those naturalist or books that you often tend to see on like bookstores, or even like, you know, prop shops. You know, prop shops, I guess. You know, not just prop shops, but also like car boot sales. Oh look, I've seen the Bale Weaver. Pretty amazing bird. Very amazing. And the Tailor bird. And the coot. Very amazing birds that I've seen in Malaysia, except for the coot, night heron. Oh, that's very bagus. See, I can speak Malay, you know. That is actually fairly amazing. The amount of... There's a moorhen here. It's a fairly... Very good quality sort of book. Lapwing, yes, I've seen that one. Little ring plover as well. Tell you what, I'm actually fairly good at identifying what birds. And look at that, the lesser black-headed gull. That's not what I was expecting. And we've got the white-breasted kingfisher. And the common kingfisher. And is that a greater cuckoo? That one there. It's called a crow pheasant, but that is actually a greater cuckoo. Fantastic birds. I tell you what, I'm actually feeling like I don't want to sound like a complete smart aleck, but hey, look, and there's the rook. Is that a crook or is it a rook? Let me know. Anyways, so that is the rest of this book. What I really seem to like about this book is the amount of detail. The only gripe is just how small the writing is. It's a fairly common feature that you see on like non-fiction books, and also like research books, and also like biology sort of books, and actually something to do with like, you know, something that is non-fiction, but then how, you know, something that is hyper detailed. So you're looking at a book that is straightforward non-fiction versus a book that is straightforward like very fiction. And on the back, it's a very nice artwork. And what's interesting is that we've also... Is that a... Oh, my tummy is rumbling. I'm pretty sure that's the coat of arms of Pakistan. I'm not sure about that. No, that's the UK. Oh my goodness me! Just as I thought I was going to be some sort of smart aleck, I failed. No way. I'm sorry if I actually confused you. But anyways, I've got no commission or connections to the High Commission of Islamabad or whatever. But hey, it's a fairly nice looking book. Very, very nice book considering it's all about just the animals that live in Pakistan. But you know what? I'm actually more fond into the birds and also the mammals. I'll tell you what, the animal biodiversity of Pakistan, it is very impressive considering of how elaborately detailed this book is. And I'll tell you what, looking at this book and that Thomas and Friends book as well, it's a complete bargain and it's a complete steal. I feel like I have done so far when I went to the Acorns charity shop. Very impressive place to go to collect some of this stuff. And I'll tell you what, man, maybe one day, instead of just straightforward spending money on, you know, a lot of like, let's just say food and also like, well, food is more important, isn't it? I do buy a lot of food, but hey, it costs a lot of money to spend somehow, or maybe bird food and seeds for my garden plants. Anyways, that is about it in this very obscure and very strange toy review. Actually, it's a merchandise video because normally I tend to have the trains on, but this time I didn't want to because, hey, since I found those recently, very much today, of course, as I'm making this video around just before midnight. So, if you really enjoyed in this video, please give this video a very good like, subscribe for more for that videos in the future, and as always, thanks so much for watching. If you really enjoyed seeing me covering 2 books so far, and bye for now.